Hello, friends. Welcome to Priyanka's adventure. Subscribe, like, and press the bell icon.
Hey, adventurers! Welcome back to Priyanka's adventure, where we dive into the wild, the weird, and the downright spooky. Today, we're stepping into one of the most infamous haunts in history, the Amityville Horror House at 112 Ocean Avenue. Is it a true horror hotspot, or just a clever tale spun for cash? I'm Priyanka, your guide to the unknown, and this time, I'm channeling the story of Elena Carter, a fearless journalist who spent a night in that very house on March 18th, 2025, just days ago. Her chilling experience might finally answer the question that's haunted us for decades. So grab your flashlights, turn down the lights, and let's uncover the shadows together. Hit that subscribe button if you're ready for the ride. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. The wind howled through the skeletal branches of the trees lining Ocean Avenue, a quiet street in Amityville, New York, where the Dutch colonial house at number 112 stood like a silent sentinel. Its quarter-moon windows glared down at me, unblinking eyes in the dusk of March 18th, 2025. My name is Elena Carter, a journalist with a penchant for the paranormal, and I'd come here chasing a story that had haunted America for decades. Was the Amityville Horror real? A genuine nexus of terror? Or just a clever hoax spun by a family desperate for cash? I intended to find out, not by sifting through old articles or interviewing skeptics, but by stepping into the house myself. The real estate agent had been reluctant to let me stay. "It's not for rent," she'd said, her voice tight. "The owners don't like visitors. Too much trouble with gawkers." But I'd persisted, offering a hefty sum for a single night's stay, claiming it was for a documentary. She'd caved, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of unease as she handed me the keys. "Don't expect anything exciting," she warned. "It's just a house." Just a house. That's what they all said. Skeptics, subsequent owners, even the local police. The story had begun with undeniable truth. On November 13th, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his entire family, his parents, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters, with a rifle in their beds at 112 Ocean Avenue. He claimed voices told him to do it, a whisper of madness that planted the seed for what came next. A year later, George and Kathy Lutz moved in with their 3 children, only to flee 28 days later, swearing the house was alive with malevolent forces, demonic voices, swarms of flies in winter, unseen hands that assaulted them. Their tale, immortalized in Jay Anson's 1977 book, The Amityville Horror, A True Story, birthed a franchise of books and films, but also a storm of doubt. Critics called it a hoax, a scheme cooked up with their lawyer, William Weber, to profit off tragedy. The Lutzes stood firm, passing polygraphs, insisting something evil lingered in those walls. I unlocked the front door, the creak of its hinges slicing through the stillness. Inside, the air was thick, heavy with the scent of old wood and something faintly metallic. The house had been renovated over the years, new windows, fresh paint, but the layout remained unchanged. The grand staircase, the sprawling living room, the basement where George Lutz claimed to have found a hidden red room pulsing with dread. I set up my gear, cameras, audio recorders, an EMF meter, determined to document every second of this night. The first hour passed in silence. I wandered the rooms, my footsteps echoing on the hardwood floors. The quarter-moon windows cast eerie shadows, but nothing stirred. I began to wonder if the skeptics were right. Maybe the Lutzes had exaggerated a creaky old house into a nightmare for fame and fortune. William Weber had admitted to fabricating parts of the story over drinks with George, and Jay Anson had woven their tapes into a sensational narrative, ignoring inconsistencies, like the lack of police reports or the pristine condition of the windows the Lutzes claimed were smashed by unseen forces. Subsequent owners reported no hauntings, just annoyance at trespassers. The Shinnecock tribe debunked claims the land was a cursed burial ground. It all pointed to fiction. But then, at 3:15 a.m., the exact time DeFeo's family was slaughtered, I heard it. A low, guttural hum, like a voice trapped in the walls. My EMF meter spiked, its needle dancing wildly. I grabbed my recorder and held it out, my breath shallow. "Is anyone here?" I asked, my voice trembling. The hum grew louder, resolving into words. "Get out!" Clear as day, rasping through the static of my recorder. My heart slammed against my ribs. I spun around, expecting to see something, but the room was empty. The temperature plummeted, my breath clouding in the dim light of my flashlight. I stumbled toward the stairs, the air pressing down on me, thick and suffocating. In the kitchen, the faucets turned on full blast, water gushing black and viscous, pooling on the floor. I fumbled with my camera, snapping photos as the liquid writhed, forming shapes. Faces, I swore, with hollow eyes and gaping mouths. The skeptic in me screamed for rationality, plumbing issues, a prank, but my gut knew better. This was no hoax. I descended to the basement, drawn by a pull I couldn't explain. The red room was there, just as George Lutz described. A small, hidden space behind a false wall, its paint peeling to reveal crimson stains that glistened wetly in my flashlight's beam. The smell hit me, copper and decay, sharp enough to gag. My recorder picked up whispers now, overlapping voices pleading, screaming, laughing. "Help us," they said. Then, "Kill them," in the same breath. I backed away, my camera clicking furiously, capturing orbs of light darting across the frame. Dust, skeptics would say. But these moved with purpose, swarming me. Upstairs, the walls began to weep. Dark streaks ran from the ceiling, staining the pristine paint. I touched one, and my fingers came away sticky with something that wasn't water. Something warm. My audio caught footsteps pacing above me, though I was alone. The lights flickered, then died, plunging me into darkness broken only by my flashlight's faltering beam. I should have left. Every instinct screamed it. But I needed proof. Proof the Lutzes weren't liars. That DeFeo's voices weren't madness, but a warning. I climbed the stairs to the master bedroom, where Ronald Sr. and Louise DeFeo had died. The air here was different, electric, alive. My EMF meter maxed out, beeping frantically. Then I saw her. A figure stood by the bed, a girl in a white nightgown, her back to me. One of DeFeo's sisters, Dawn or Allison, I couldn't tell. Her hair hung limp, dripping with that same black liquid from the kitchen. She turned, and her face, God, her face, was a ruin. Eyes gouged out, mouth stretched in a silent scream. She didn't move, just stared, and the room filled with the sound of gunfire, deafening despite the silence of her lips. I bolted, tripping down the stairs, my equipment clattering behind me. The front door wouldn't budge, the knob icy under my hands. The girl's voice, no, voices, all 6 DeFeos, whispered behind me, "Stay." I pounded on the wood, sobbing, until it finally gave way, spilling me onto the lawn. The house loomed behind me, its windows dark now, watching. I didn't sleep that night. Back in my hotel, I reviewed the evidence. The audio was unmistakable. Those voices, that command to get out. The photos showed the black liquid, the orbs, the girl's ghastly silhouette. My hands shook as I uploaded it all to my laptop, backing it up to the cloud. This wasn't a hoax. The Lutzes hadn't lied, not entirely. Something lingered in that house, something tied to the murders, something that defied the skeptics' tidy explanations. The next morning, I called Daniel Lutz, Kathy's son, now in his 50s. He'd spoken in documentaries about the trauma, the abuse from George, the reality of what they'd faced. "You were there," he said when I described my night. "You felt it. They can call it fake all they want. But we lived it. You lived it." I dug deeper. Ronald DeFeo's defense had hinged on those voices. Psychosis, the courts ruled, but what if they were real? The Lutz's polygraphs supported their claims, despite skeptics dismissing the tests as unreliable. The priest, Father Pecoraro, had testified in private about sores on his hands, a detail never fully debunked. The house's subsequent owners might have been lucky, or willfully blind. The absence of police reports didn't erase what I'd experienced. I published my story, evidence and all, on March 20th, 2025. The internet erupted. Believers hailed it as vindication. Skeptics cried manipulation. CGI, they said of my photos. Audio editing, they claimed of the voices. But I'd been there. I'd felt the cold, heard the screams, seen the gall. The Amityville Horror wasn't a fabrication. It was a truth too terrifying to accept. The house still stands, its address changed to deter tourists, its windows no longer quarter moons, but ordinary panes. Yet I know what lurks within. It's not a tale of profit or publicity. It's a horror place, real and relentless, born from blood and bound to those walls forever. Why it's true. This story argues the Amityville Horror is real by weaving a fictional first-hand experience with historical elements. The murders by Ronald DeFeo Jr. are factual, lending a grim foundation. The Lutz's claims, voices, physical phenomena, are echoed in Elena's night, suggesting continuity of the supernatural. Polygraph results and Daniel Lutz's testimony bolster the narrative, countering hoax claims. Skeptics' arguments, fabrication by Weber, lack of physical evidence, are acknowledged but dismissed through Elena's visceral proof. Recordings, photos, sensations, no trickery could fake. The house's lingering presence, despite renovations, implies a force beyond rational explanation. Thus, the story posits that Amityville's horror is true, rooted in tragedy and unleashed through experience. Wow, adventurers, what a journey that was! Elena Carter's night at 112 Ocean Avenue left us with goosebumps and some serious proof. From the voices growling "Get out" to that eyeless girl in the master bedroom, it's hard to call this a hoax after what she captured. The Amityville Horror? I'm convinced it's real, born from blood and bound to those walls forever. What do you think? True terror or clever trick? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's keep this adventure alive. If you love diving into the shadows with me, smash that like button, share this with your bravest friends, and subscribe to Priyanka's adventure for more thrills. Next time, we're chasing another mystery. Any guesses where? See you soon, adventurers. Stay curious and maybe sleep with the lights on tonight.